Good
All right.
morning, everybody. Sit down, young man. You got your own episode this week. Justin's going to start again.
Hold on.
Good morning, all.
Hold on. You guys didn't hit go live.
Yeah, I'm live right now.
Yeah, it's 15 seconds in.
Yeah, we're live, bro. We'll do it
Go
live.
ahead.
All right.
See
Anyway,
what happens when you host. See what happens when you host. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. I'm sure you saw my purple-shirted counterpart, AA Ron, earlier in the week do his Daryl Morey episode. So I'm jumping in right away to start with Daryl Morey because I was on my way home from work in my hour and 20-minute drive and couldn't get on to defend myself in what my opinions are.
You're a mad guy.
Here's my point to you, Mr. Barrison. I went back and listened to what you said thrice since your episode.
Oh, you like the way I talk, huh?
I hate the way you talk. I just had my anger boiled over so many times it took 3 times to listen. So listen. So I want to start with a quick question. What makes you believe that Daryl Morey's first order of business on this team is diagnosing which superstar to get rid of? Why are you going straight to it's Ben or Joe?
It's not a diagnostic thing. My thing was more of an if-then hypothesis, where if we don't see Ben Simmons start shooting the ball within the first 40 to 50 games of the season, there's going to be some moves being made because you can't come in your first year, especially given what counterparts you might bring in, look at that team and think that you're going to advance far into the playoffs with a similar roster when you still have a point guard that won't shoot the ball. That changes if he decides to start taking 3, 4, 5 shots a game. But without a 3-point shot, he's not going to keep Ben Simmons. You can't make that roster work the way Morey ball works with Ben Simmons on the roster not shooting the rock.
All right, so you sent me a post on Instagram from Nick Wright, okay? That was basically Nick Wright explaining that Daryl Morey's not married to small ball. So Morey ball doesn't matter because Morey's not coming into this
Morey ball is not small ball, but go ahead.
Morey ball is small ball. Morey ball is shooters. Let me say shooters. Doesn't need to be small, but you need shooters, right? Daryl Morey has found success on teams where he did not run Morey ball. So there's 2 mountainous problems I have with your hypothesis. The first one being Daryl Morey got hired to this organization a month after they picked Doc Rivers to hold this team accountable and build them into a winning culture again. And for some reason, you believe that because Daryl Morey's got, I guess, more clout, in your opinion, than Doc Rivers does, that Daryl Morey is going to be the end-all, be-all. Let me tell you something, bro. Doc Rivers did not leave Los Angeles and come to a team that has underachieved as bad as the 76ers have and signed a 5-year deal to not make sure his voice is the final voice. Now, will Daryl Morey respect that? We've yet to see. He didn't have that guy in Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni is an offensive schemer, and that's about where it ended for him. Doc Rivers is a complete coach, one of the best to ever sit behind a bench, okay? That's mountainous problem number 1. Mountainous problem number 2. There is no question in anybody's mind that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid can coexist. It's about building the right team. We saw this with Jimmy Butler and JJ Redick a couple of years ago when they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to the most lucky bounce Kawhi Leonard will ever have in his life. Mm-hmm. So you can build a team around a Ben Simmons that shoots 30 times a year, not 10 times a game, and Embiid being the focal point of your offense because you had it. You had success. Now, you can't tell me that roster is not significantly better, performs significantly higher for Doc Rivers over Brett Brown because Brett Brown was the problem. Mm-hmm. Everybody with eyeballs agrees. So you can build a team here, which Daryl Morey is smart enough to understand, where you use Ben Simmons for what Ben Simmons is good at. Drive the hole when you have an open lane and stand at the top of the key and initiate offense. Because if you take away guys like Al Horford, like Tobias Harris, like Matisse Thybulle, like Furkan Korkmaz, who are not catch and shoot, deadly accurate wing players, and you find a way to bring a couple of those guys in, Ben Simmons doesn't need to shoot 10 times a game. Ben Simmons needs to be a threat to drive the hole next to Joe clogging the post and have somebody to kick out to. That's it. It's that simple. Now, as I said to you that night that you told me I was wrong about, and I'd like you to defend this on air so everybody knows the conversation. Ben does not need a 3. Ben needs a 17-foot jump shot that makes that defender that sags down into the post, the double Joe, come out and meet him, and your whole floor opens up. And he doesn't even need to be good at it. He just needs to make enough early in a game to make everybody understand I can make this shot if I want to. The three-pointer in Ben Simmons, I think you are putting so much more importance on than what's actually needed.
No. Okay, so I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because there's only a handful of guys in the NBA when you're playing any coach that's scheming for any offense. If guys want to pull up and take a 17-foot jump shot, you're going to guard it, but for the most part, you let them take the 17-foot jump shot. When we talk about Morey and small ball, we don't mean small as far as necessarily a lineup, because if you have a big guy that has touch around the rim and can come outside and shoot a three-point shot, that works for his offensive system. What Morey ball means is that you prioritize layups, dunks, and three-point shots over any type of jump shot or 17-foot shot. So the philosophy coming from Daryl Morey is that we're going to get layups, we're going to get dunks, and we're going to shoot threes. And that's what a Daryl Morey ran team does. There's a reason that, and we can talk about a guy like, Rajon Rondo, whose game is actually very similar to Ben Simmons. Now, Ben Simmons is 6'11", right? And they're not the same size. Ben Simmons is an all-in first-team NBA defender. And Rondo's been that type of defender in his prime as well. But the reason Rondo, aside from his personality issues, has gotten bounced around the NBA so many times and has been on so many different teams is he just didn't fit well into the offense, especially for a guy that just didn't have or develop a shot. And we just saw the Los Angeles Lakers win a championship because a guy like Rajon Rondo was being given a three-point shot and was hitting it between 30 and 35%. But Rajon Rondo is not a guy that you want shooting a 17-foot jump shot unless the shot clock's winding down and expiring. So you're not going to go ahead and say, Ben, you're not going to ask Ben Simmons to develop a 17-foot jump shot before he develops a three-point shot, because in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't make sense for anybody to shoot a 17-foot jump shot when all you have to do is take a couple more steps back and you get an extra point for it. And that's what Morey ball is. So I have to disagree, because you start the pick and roll usually from the top of the key outside the three-point line. You're not going to shoot a 17-foot jump shot, but if you can shoot within the, close within the foul line, then yeah, you take that shot. It's almost like a floater for a guy that's 6'11", but Ben Simmons is not going to be popping from 17 feet out. So when we make a point about running a pick and roll, and that's really what they're going to specialize in. And that's one of the reasons we discussed a guy like Oladipo and Kemba Walker gives you that opportunity. James Harden gives you those opportunities. When we talk about potential trades, if he doesn't want to shoot, we're always talking about guys that can pull up from anywhere and make a shot, and especially guys that can hit three-point shots. Those are hypothetical trade situations. They're not trades that Doc Rivers wants to do. Doc Rivers has come to Philadelphia because he saw Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and the talents they have together, and he said, I'm going to find a way to make this work. And then Daryl Morey was brought in to surround them with the right pieces, because I think you'd agree it was obvious last year that the way that team was constructed, it didn't really matter what Ben and Joel did. They just didn't have the right pieces around them.
Sure, so no doubt. But let me ask you this real quick on what you just said then. So whose offense is this? Is this Doc Rivers' team, or is this now because a month after Doc gets here, Daryl Morey gets hired? Is Daryl Morey the guy that's making this team now? So when it comes to scheming,
well, Daryl Morey's making it, and then Doc Rivers is going to scheme for it. But
right, but Doc Rivers wants these two superstars, which we know about, right? Because he's come out and said nothing other than it's been unequivocal. He wants Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons to win together. So before I even dive into how ridiculous the hypothetical trade situations are, Why are we going to hypothetical trade situations of Ben Simmons? We're assuming that 60 games in, this guy hasn't developed a little bit. We're assuming that the lack of respect for Brett Brown wasn't the problem, and now Doc is going to get more.
Well, lack of respect for Brett Brown wasn't the reason you don't shoot 3-point shots. And there was reports that came out about that. Those reports are bullshit. You don't hurt yourself and hurt the team by not shooting threes because you don't like your coach. So my overall, outlook on this is we're 3 years past trying to get Ben Simmons to shoot a shot. So for us to think that all of a sudden a new coach comes in and Ben's just going to start launching up threes, I don't get what anybody sees as far as that's concerned. Why all of a sudden is Ben going to come into the 2021 season after 4 years of us telling him to shoot threes and him not doing it and just start launching them up? That's really my point. We've been saying this since the beginning of 2018. Oh, if Ben starts shooting this year, the whole Eastern Conference is going to be in trouble. We go into 2019. Oh, Ben looks like he's been working on his shot. We have videos of him all off season. He's on Instagram and he's draining threes over and over. And then the season gets there. He takes a shot or two in the preseason. We're like, Ben's going to be shooting this year. And then he never shoots. So we're talking about, you're talking about me making hypothetical situations, and now you're making a hypothetical situation that all of a sudden the coach changes, and now Ben Simmons is going to come into the season and start shooting threes.
You don't think that Brett Brown and his usage of Ben Simmons was part of the reason why Ben never developed the consistency or the confidence in that shot? Look at how he used Ben Simmons for the first 2 seasons he had him. Ben Simmons' job was to carry the ball up the court, get it down to Joe, and kick out somewhere. And Ben was never asked to become a shooter. Brett Brown is one of the worst coaches with superstar talent that I've seen in my entire life.
We agreed on that.
Just in Philadelphia, everywhere. That's how bad he is. So you have to take into consideration how bad Brett Brown was to that guy. And is a guy going to take away money on a max because he makes an all-pro team? Of course he's not. But is he going to stop and think, if I become this elite player and we make 3 Eastern Conference finals in a row, is Brett Brown going to go? Probably not. Not with this management group.
The problem, though, is Ben Simmons' mindset, and it's obvious that he would rather look good on a stat. I mean, this is obvious over the years, just that Ben Simmons would rather look good on a stat sheet, make his All-NBA defensive team, date a Kardashian, be back and forth from L.A., pull up in something that somebody else is dressed him in, coming out of a nice car and taking pictures. Ben is more concerned about his image than what anybody thinks about him shooting 3-point shots. And I just think that many years into the league, it's not even about him hitting them at a high percentage. He just has to shoot them. And for 3 years since he's been the number one, you're telling me a number 1 overall pick is not practicing his shot when we see him practicing his shot and just not doing it in the game. So it's a mental thing. It's a fan thing, whatever it is. It's not just you're not just going to snap your fingers with a new coach and it change. And that's my whole take on this. Now, Daryl Morey, you asked me, what has Daryl Morey done in the NBA? Because he hasn't won a championship. It's very hard to win a championship, but he's been very consistent.
Golden State got 3 of them in a couple of years. I'm just saying.
I understand that. And who else has besides the Raptors when they got injured and a LeBron James-led team? It's been pretty much nobody. It's been basically 2 guys. So it's not easy to win a championship. So we're talking about a team that was a 73-win team, broke the Bulls franchise record, and was the best team of the decade. It's very hard to get over that in the Western Conference with just someone like a James Harden, but they almost did it with a Chris Paul, and they should have done it with a Chris Paul. And we can look back at those tapes and realize that even without Chris Paul, if they don't go over 27, and we're talking about ifs, and we hate talking about ifs, but if they don't go over 27 in that Game 7, they beat that team. They were constructed the right way, right? So
but they couldn't execute.
Correct. But that's one of the most rare feats in NBA history is 0 from 27 in the last remaining couple minutes.
What Daryl Morey's team did. How many NBA finals has Daryl Morey's teams made? Not one, made. How many has he got?
You got to let me finish my point, though. He has the longest active playoff streak in the NBA. It's not the Warriors. It's not any LeBron James-led team. Daryl Morey makes moves. He gets he constructs rosters the right way, and he builds talents. And he knows how to do it. So, and we've seen that Elton Brand does that too, by the way. So having them two work together and still giving Elton a chance to do that, I'm personally very excited about it. And I just don't want to go into another playoff series and see a 5-on-4 because Ben Simmons refuses to shoot any type
I get that, bro, but you're trying to get me to be happy with Daryl Morey, who's never even gotten his team to the finals.
He's a phenomenal GM and talent.
He's phenomenally mediocre with his results. His results end the same year in, year out. With James Harden and Russell Westbrook, with James Harden and Chris Paul, he didn't want to get over the hump.
He didn't want to trade Chris Paul, and we all knew that.
But he did.
That wasn't his decision. He wasn't the end-all, be-all in Houston. There was report. Chris Paul was his guy. Trust me.
But he let him go. The point is he let him go. And you're asking me to look at Daryl Morey and go, holy shit, accomplishments. Yeah, you know what he accomplishes very well? He has a long playoff streak. Do you know who had that before that hadn't won? The Sixers since '83. What was the point of the tank? The point of the tank was to get out of the 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds spots we were in and get eliminated in round 1 or round 2 and win a title. Daryl Morey is a guy who for his whole career looks really fucking good on paper, makes teams look really good, builds offensive dynamos like James Harden. And then what does he get for it? Nothing.
You got to get
run. Nothing.
You got to give some credit for being able to take what we saw as a sixth man though in OKC and turning him into the best scoring guard since Michael Jordan. I mean, he took the guy that he knew could score the basketball. He developed a scheme around him. He put shooters around him. And Houston's been good for a long time. They haven't won anything. I think they should have one year. It is what it is. He left for a reason. He thinks Ben Simmons and Embiid have a higher ceiling than anything going on in Houston. And we'll see what happens over the next couple years. But
let's move on to your trades. I got to talk about your trades. We have to talk about that before we're done the segment.
Okay.
The James Harden trade. Okay. The James Harden trade makes sense for a million reasons. Where it doesn't is James Harden's probably not getting traded out of Houston. That's really where the sense dies.
Yeah, sure.
Even if it took Ben Simmons, being able to put a guard with that scoring ability on the floor with Joe is incredible. There's no argument there.
Yeah.
This fucking dreamland, pipe dream, Puff the Magic Dragon idea of Ben Simmons not only ending up in Boston, which is never going to fucking happen. There will never come a time where an interdivisional team gives their first overall draft pick, who is not a bust, who is a transcendent talent in 2/3 of the part of the game you need him to be, to your arch nemesis.
I love having 2/3 of a player, by the way.
I don't disagree with you that he needs to be a complete one, but I'm being honest about who Ben Simmons is. Never will that happen. That's problem A. Ben will never end up in a Celtics uniform unless it's via free agency.
I covered that.
Problem A. Problem B. The players that you're bringing to this team, okay? James Harden averages 9 assists a game and 35 points. James Harden is not only a dominant scorer, he has above average court vision and is able to set up other guys. You're telling me that I'm bringing back Kemba Walker, who's never averaged more than 6.5 or 7 assists from the point guard position in his career, who's a 25 to 28 point scorer, I'll give him, but is an ISO dominant playmaker for himself. And Victor Oladipo, who is a very good 2-guard, top 7, top 10 playing basketball right now. He's up there. But Victor Oladipo is an ISO 2-guard who has to play with the ball in his hands. So you're giving me this idea of Morey ball being layups and threes, where you need to have an offense that has a true point guard that is able to work the half court and get easy shots one way or the other. And you're presenting me with an above average scorer and a point guard that has absolutely nothing impressive in the setup category, and a 2 that needs the ball in his hands to score, to pair with Tobias Harris, who is also an ISO ball dominant player, and then Joel Embiid. The scheme that you build with that trade beyond Ben ending up in Boston just simply doesn't work for what you're telling me Daryl Morey's going to do.
Yeah. So the reason that I think it works is because I've seen – I watched, as you watched, the NBA playoffs this year. And I saw the pairings that went along with teams that made deep playoff runs and teams that ultimately won the championship. Now, we can't sit here and compare anybody to a LeBron James and an Anthony Davis-led team because Anthony Davis is the best big in the NBA and LeBron James is the best player in the NBA. So let's just throw them out of the equation for a second. Every remaining team had an array of guards that could shoot threes, along with at least one ISO guy that can get you a bucket at any given time, and a dominant big man with a really good touch around the rim that you can stretch out to the three-point line. Ben Simmons doesn't give you that, but Jokic and Murray give you that. Butler and Adebayo and Tyler Herro give you that. Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam give you that. And the reason that the Boston Celtics didn't beat those teams and end up in the finals is because they're guard and small forward heavy, and they didn't have that big guy that they could do that with. They have the small forwards and the guards to do that. But when I look at the scheme of the NBA, again, Houston traded away Clint Capella. Now, he wasn't going to work for them anyway because he doesn't really have any touch around the rim. He's a defensive player, gets you some offensive rebounds, some putbacks, some alley-oops, so on and so forth. But the teams that did well are teams that had a big you can run pick and roll with, and at any given time, a Donovan Mitchell could go get you a bucket and Rudy Gobert could spread out under the rim. So those are the type of teams that are winning right now. So in my mind, when I look at the way the NBA is trending, I think it makes sense if Ben doesn't start to shoot the basketball. But again, these are all hypothetical situations. If I'm watching, we're going to be so frustrated as Philadelphia 76ers fans if we're 40, 50 games into the year and we're a mediocre team or look like we're going to be a mediocre team and Ben Simmons still isn't shooting the ball. That's just the bottom line. So I hope he starts shooting. I don't want to trade a 24-year-old 6'11" point guard with the second best court vision in the NBA. I don't want to do it. We've had this conversation too. When we thought we were bringing a coach in and we might have to choose between having Ben Simmons and Embiid, you're an Embiid guy, and I'm actually a Ben Simmons guy. I don't want to see Ben Simmons go because I see how the Sixers play when it's Ben Simmons and the floor is spread out. But if Embiid is in there and he's our most dominant player and he doesn't start shooting the basketball, we're going to be talking about this in a couple months.
I don't necessarily disagree, bro, but I'm telling you, it's not – you're laying too much at the feet of Ben Simmons shooting. That's where we disagree. We're going to have a whole basketball episode on Wednesday. We'll get into this stuff more. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with our picks for the week, and we'll see you guys in a minute.
All right, before we move on to NFL football, I do have one person to call out, which I didn't talk to you about, Just. So there's a Philly podcast, a really good one. I think it's called, you know him, A to D Radio.
Yep.
Right? So this guy comes on the other day because these rumors about Ben Simmons for James Harden are swirling around. And obviously the Rockets, and we'll move on to football in a second, the Rockets have said, Daryl Morey, there's no way we're giving you James Harden for anybody. This guy comes on and he says basically, all you guys that think you're basketball guys that would in a second trade a 24-year-old Ben Simmons for a 31-year-old James Harden, have no idea and he's going off on this rant about how dumb it would be and how dumb Sixers fans are for wanting a James Harden for Ben Simmons. Let me tell you something. In what world would any GM, coach, or player in the league not trade a Ben Simmons for a guy that can score 35 to 37 points per game, give you 9 assists, get to the free throw line 20 times, and is a former MVP when you haven't seen your guy even shoot a 15-foot jump shot? I don't know where he came up with that idea. I don't know what his train of thought was when he decided to go live. But if anybody would not be willing to trade Ben Simmons for James Harden, you are absolutely out of your mind. So that's all I want to say about that. We can talk about that all day. That is the dumbest thing I've heard all week.
Do you feel better now?
Yeah.
Welcome to the TED Talk. Scroll on to the next subject.
All right. So we got some NFL football week 8. We are going to give you some of our picks. I think Justin went 11-2.
10-2 and 1. 10-2 and 1.
2-1. Okay. I went 6-6-1. Not my greatest week, but Justin, phenomenal week. You should start charging people for your bets at this couple good weeks in a row.
We'll make a subscription service soon.
I'll just take their money, pretend I know what I'm talking about at this point, but I feel a big rebound week for myself. So we'll go down this list. We'll give you our picks. We'll tell you why, and we'll give you them in this order. So are you ready to give out your picks, Justin?
I'm here for it, bro. Let's do it.
All right. So the first game we have on the slate, we got the Packers and the Vikings. The Vikings are getting 6 points. Who do you got in that game?
So I was surprised. I was going over these with our producer this morning before we got on. I was surprised we picked a lot of games the same. Green Bay has shown me week in and week out that they're too good, and Minnesota getting rid of Yannick Ngakoue after 3 weeks just kind of tells me that this team is packing it in. They're looking to get Trevor Lawrence and move on from Kirk Cousins. The tank sweepstakes have started in the NFL, and I think Minnesota's a team that's deep in it. I like the 6 points. I'll lay them down. I think Aaron Rodgers wins this game by at least a touchdown. And we've got over-under graphics now. 49.6 with how bad Minnesota is. I'm going to take Green Bay -6 under.
Yeah, I'm going to take Green Bay as well for the same reasons you mentioned. Green Bay does have 2 of their safeties out, and their left tackle, David Bakhtiari, is out. The Packers always play the Vikings well. The weather is supposed to be not too great there. It's going to be a little bit windy. Aaron Jones is out. So both teams are going to be trying to run the ball a little bit more because of the weather. And Aaron Jones is obviously their best back. I think Green Bay wins by a touchdown and covers that spread, but I'm actually going to go with the under on this.
Yep.
Next game we got on the slate is the Giants are getting 12.5 points against who look to be the favorite Buccaneers.
You got to start. Look at the screen, homie. You can't ask me to back up logic first. You got to say crazy shit again.
So I'm actually going with the Giants on this one. Most of the Giants, and just to cover, not to win, the Giants have played a lot of teams very close this year. They're a well-coached team. They're not a bad football team. Joe Judge knows Tom Brady. Chris Godwin is out. I don't think that matters much because the Bucs have some other wide receivers. The Bucs also have the highest-ranked overall defense in the league right now, and the Giants are on a team that scores well. I think it's an easy win for the Bucs by about 10. You might get some garbage time points. The thing that scares me about this is that the weather, up in New York is a little bit colder compared to Tampa Bay. The Giants haven't been that great at tackling. But again, at the end of the day, they are top 12 in the pass rush. The Giants are, even though they have one of the worst records in the league right now. I think the Bucs win the game, but not by 13 points. I'm going with a Bucs win, but I'm going with the Giants to cover, and I'm going to go over on this.
Holy shitballs, Batman. Just because of your confidence in that diatribe soapbox fucking broadcast you just made. This is my lock of the week now. It was going to be a different game, but now it's this one. Tom Brady played for 15 years in New England, dog. It's a boon to him to have cold weather. Rest of that
I'm
team,
not talking about him.
Rest of that team, maybe not. Listen to me, bro. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is not going to allow Daniel Jones to put more than 6 points on the board today. And if you're trying to convince me that giving up 6, that Tom Brady doesn't score at least 21, ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way. Lay the 12.5. This is an absolute stone cold lock. Lay the points. Take Tampa Bay. It's a 15-point game or better, and I agree it's going to be over.
I'm surprised you don't like those big spreads usually. You usually take the underdog.
Wait till we get to the last big spread, sir. Let's keep going. What's next?
49ers Seahawks. 49ers getting 3 points. What do you got on that?
Oh my God, dude. Oh, okay. Russell Wilson is not going to lose at home after a loss. Numero uno. Number 2. I like the Niners, bro. We talked about the Niners a lot last week. I picked the Niners to cover their spread last week. They're starting to play better. Jimmy G is starting to be a better game manager again. There's a lot of positive things that I'm seeing out of San Francisco. They're just not quite there. The Super Bowl hangover is real. Shanahan is struggling mightily to figure out how to get these guys to play right together. They don't have a real run game. They don't have any real – I mean, listen, Ayuk looks phenomenal, but they don't have a real number 1 wide receiver right now. I think Russell Wilson wins this game by a touchdown or more. 63.5 in a game with that San Francisco defense, though. I'm gonna go on, or a 53.5. I'm gonna go under. I don't see Seattle's defense performing as poorly as they did against Arizona, but I also see Russell Wilson being able to take a bit of advantage of what the Niners have got going. So I'm gonna lay the 3. I'm gonna take Seattle in the under.
Well, I don't see how you don't see them doing that because their defense has been awful all year. This is an interesting game because all year they've been winning their games on the offensive end, and they've been barely pulling out the games. They're always close, and they just lost their first close game against Kyler Murray last week, our boy, our MVP candidate. The 49ers have started to play well the last couple weeks. They're starting to get healthy. I like the 49ers to actually be able to slow down Seattle enough. They've been running the ball well the last couple weeks. The defense has been solid. I think that if you look back at Seattle's schedule, they actually haven't played really a single really good defensive team yet. They beat the Falcons, the Cowboys, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Vikings. So I think the 49ers are actually going to give them a little trouble. I'm taking the 49ers. I'm taking the points, and that is my upset of the week because I think they are going to win this game outright. I also think that this is going to go over. Seattle's defense is that bad. I like the 49ers to win by 3 to 6 points.
What's next, buddy?
So we got the Saints giving 4 points to Nicky Foles, who's going to get benched at halftime, in the Chicago Bears.
I don't think it takes halftime, bro. I don't think it takes more than half of that first quarter. Listen, I went back and started watching some of New Orleans because you and I were both out on them at the beginning of the year. Yeah. And I know both of us still haven't changed that. We do believe that this team has taken a gigantic step back in front of our face. But I went back and looked, bro. Listen to me. Alvin Kamara is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Alvin Kamara is Antonio Brown, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Saquon Barkley packaged into one guy when he's on, bro. He's is so good at football, bro. I know Michael Thomas is out. I know all the shit about Chicago's defense. I know everything everyone's going to tell me. But I think that this is Drew Brees' last dance, and he knows it. And Drew Brees has got one chance to try to make it happen before they're really talking about retiring. I'm going to take New Orleans to cover the 4, and I'm going to go over.
Yeah, so I actually think I heard yesterday, and I could be wrong. We'll check about this. I think Michael Thomas is actually back this week, so I think Drew Brees is getting back his favorite target. I'm taking the Saints. The Bears have been awful running the football, and this is supposed to be a bad weather game. The Saints have Alvin Kamara, so advantage Saints there. And they can also they extend their running game with the short passing game, and Drew Brees is one of the best, along with Ben Roethlisberger, at doing that. I think they're going to be able to shut down the Bears. The Bears haven't been able to score anyway. I like the Saints in an absolute blowout. I know that the Bears can't put up any points, but I'm going to take the Saints, and I'm going to take the over.
Michael Thomas is out.
Is he out? Okay. I still like the Saints in the over.
I'm with you. Next.
All right. We got the surprising Chargers against the I can play defense Broncos but can't do anything else. Chargers are giving 3 points to the Broncos.
This is my surprise of the week, I guess, for everybody. I can't call it an upset because the Broncos are at home, but the Broncos are playing at home. Their defense is good. Herbert has not faced a real challenge yet defensively. It's not a high-scoring game. And to be real with you, dude, I think the Chargers could win by a field goal, but that little half point's going to kick me into the right. I think that Denver covers. Again, I'm not so confident that I will call this the upset because I don't know that Denver can win this game outright. I do know that with the weather getting colder, traveling from the West Coast out into cold-ass Colorado, fucking 17,000 feet in elevation, that's going to affect a rookie quarterback. I don't think that the Broncos win this game, but I think they lose by a field goal, and that half point is going to save me. And 44 is low. I'm going to go over.
So you're going the Chargers over?
No, Denver.
Broncos over. Okay.
Over.
So I'm going to disagree with you about one thing. You said Justin Herbert hasn't played any good defenses yet. I love the Chargers in this game. Herbert in the last couple of weeks has put up 58 points against the Bucs, who have the number 1 rated defense in the league, and the Saints, who are a good defensive as well. He's gone toe-to-toe with some really good QBs, obviously. 39 points against a bad team in the Jags, just bad defense. The Broncos have a above average to okay defense. I like them to put up 25 to 30 points. I'm taking the Chargers in this game, and I'm also taking the over. I think Herbert's going to light them up the same way he's been lighting up every other team. I don't see him slowing down anytime soon.
We'll see.
We'll see.
This is shaping up for another 10-2 versus 6-6 is all I'm saying, dog.
For you. The Colts are giving 3 points to the Detroit Lions. I could start this one if you want. So,
by all means. Tell me how Phillip Rivers at 177 is going to save your day.
Phillip Rivers has been awful this year. He started off looking like he was going to be good, and he's just—it's a dying breed. It's the same thing I talk about with Nick Foles. The stand in the pocket quarterback is just a dying breed of quarterback, and it's really hard to win if your playbook is limited. The defenses are too good now. The Colts are getting Darius Leonard back. I'm not high on Rivers at all right now, but the Colts defense is phenomenal. The Lions defense has not been very good this year. They've beaten the teams that they should have and lost to the good ones. The Colts are a good one, maybe not a great one. I like the Colts giving that 3 points, and I'm actually going to go with the over on this one. I think the Colts are going to light up that Detroit defense, but I think Matt Stafford's going to have a good game as well.
I'm on record saying that the Indianapolis football Colts are going to be one of the surprising teams this season. I'm officially correcting that record and saying what a fucking disappointment. What an awful, terrible, incredibly just the letdown is unbelievable. That's not why I'm picking this game the way that I am. That was just fuck the Colts for giving us hope. I mean, Phillip Rivers, go retire. Like, you're too old. No, thank you, Brett Favre. No, thank you, Brett Favre 2.0. Move the fuck on. Let somebody else come. I can't. To me, it's Matt Stafford versus Phillip Rivers. It's who do I think is going to win the game. I think Detroit being at home is a big deal. I think that Phillip Rivers not being able to move is going to make a mediocre at best Detroit defense look really fucking good today. I don't think 3 points is enough. I think this is a touchdown or better game. Again, Matt Stafford's in the same position a lot of these other quarterbacks are, man. He is in a show-me position with some of these teams with borderline records. I mean, as Howie showed you a couple of years ago to get Carson, if you're in the top 15, you can get up to 1 or 2 and get the quarterback you want. A lot of these teams are going to be in that mode. And I think come halftime, if you're down 14 points, the Indianapolis Colts are going to start sailing in this season too to try to replace Andrew Luck. I don't agree with the over. I don't think these are two electrifying offenses. I'm going to take the 3 points, go Detroit under.
Okay. Next game we got is the Raiders. The Raiders are getting 2.5 from the Browns. The Raiders have been a little inconsistent. The Browns have beaten some bad teams and gotten crushed by some good teams. Who do you got in this game?
I'm in your camp, I think, on this one. I think this one's pretty easy. It's, do you believe the inconsistency with Cleveland is worse than the inconsistency than the Raiders? And to me, I just think talent-wise, I mean, Nelson Aguilar is the number one target right now for Derek Carr. Am I going to take that or Jarvis Landry? Am I going to take Baker or Derek Carr? I think I have more opportunity in Cleveland. And again, to me, consistency is the key. I think you get more consistency. I think you get more effort out of Cleveland because this is the first, what looks like it could be a winning season they've had in 30 years, dude. Like this is a major season for all those guys. Odell tears his ACL. They're going to play real hard to try to make this season worth something for him. I think this is an easy one. Cleveland wins by the minimum of 3 points if it's a close game. This is one I can see though. Baker and Derek Carr pulling their dicks out and trying to measure against each other. I'm going to take the over on this one. Cleveland minus 2.5.
Yeah, so this is supposed to be another bad weather game. There's a couple this week. We're going to have 25-mile-an-hour winds with 40-mile-an-hour gusts. Teams are actually scoring more points against the Raiders this year than the Raiders are scoring. And the Raiders might be without Trent Brown, which makes a field day for our defensive player of the year candidate, Myles Garrett. I think he's going to absolutely wreck that line today. He's playing like it. It's basically a three-way race between him, Aaron Donald, and TJ Watt right now. I think the Browns will win this game. I think the D-line is going to dominate the Raiders' O-line. And I think it's going to be a blowout, something like the Browns, like by 13 points. But I also think it's going to be a low-scoring game because of the weather. So I'm going to take the Browns, but I'm going to go under 48 points, something like 23-17.
All right, on to your boyfriend. Let's do it.
All right, so we got the Pats, who last week I hopped on the train.
No way, Aaron picked the Patriots again? No way!
I said I hopped off the Pats train last week. They're playing the Bills this week.
Jumped right back on.
All right, so the Pats are getting 4 points. This is the last, I'm going to keep saying bad weather game of the week. We're getting into that time of year, which means there is going to be a lot of running the football this week. The Bills are at home, so the home team obviously gets 3 points. So realistically, they are favored by 1, and I wonder why. Big factors, the weather. Cam's about to lose his starting job. He knows he has to play well. The Pats are going to be running the ball game. The Bills are going to be trying to run the ball all game. The Bills and Pats defense have been underwhelming all year. I think this is going to be a coaching matchup. This is the last week, Justin, that I am taking.
Don't lie to me.
It's the last week.
Don't lie
I'm
to my
taking
face
the Pats.
like that,
the Bills have been on a little downwards decline over the last couple weeks, and so have the Pats. They've been playing awful. I can't imagine that 3 games in a row Cam Newton plays like this. Switch up the play calling, bad weather game, ugly game. It's going to be close, and that's really the reason I'm taking the 4 points. I think even if the Bills win the game, it's going to be by a field goal. So I'm going to go with the Pats, and actually I'm going to go with the under.
Cam Newton in bad weather. No running game in New England in bad weather.
Cam's the running game, yeah.
Fuck all the way off with that nonsense. The Bills at home with whatever they're allowing now, 8,000, 10,000 fans. Who gives a shit? Okay, so Josh Allen or Cam Newton? Simple question, right? Josh Allen every single time. Stephon Diggs or I don't even know who you have in New England anymore.
Not if you can't throw the ball.
Stephon Diggs versus Mr. Johnny No Name up there in New England. Stephon Diggs, easy.
Mm-hmm.
Which offensive line has performed better week in and week out? Simple answer, Buffalo. Can Cam Newton run? Sure he can, but you know who else can? Almost as good, maybe just as good? Josh Allen. So your X factor of Cam Newton means nothing. Again, this line should be 7.5 because the real line should be 4. And I know that we have the home game and you're going to make it 1 and what have you. This is an easy win for Buffalo. This is a week where Cam Newton finally gets a final punch in the jaw to understand that he's just not that good anymore.
Can't wait. You can't wait.
I can't fucking wait.
Can't wait.
So excited. I will agree with you in one facet. Bad weather, 2 teams that aren't electrifying. This is going to stay under. I agree. You're probably looking at like a 21-17 and push that 4. You're probably looking at maybe a 28-21 type game. I think 40 is too low, bro. I think this could be a 17-13 game, and I might burn myself. But I'm with you in the under. Lay the 4 points down. New England is cooked. Cam Newton is garbage. Under Buffalo.
I gotcha. All right, so moving on, we got Tua time in Miami, and he is going to have a tough task against Aaron Donald and the Rams.
Right. At least you picked it right. I'm so glad to see that graphic.
Who have, the Rams have actually been playing the way you expect the Rams to play the last couple weeks. And it's, we don't know what we're going to get from Tua. You seem to think he's going to be a bust in the NFL. I don't buy that unless he just can't stay healthy. But the Rams, I'll give you some stats here to back this up, and we might not have to talk about this too much. So Tua's a surprise of the game. What are you going to get? A lot of times, rookies in their first game, they go in and they dominate because you have college tape on them, but you don't know what scheme they're going to be running in the NFL and how well they're going to do it. It's obviously, it's obvious that they benched Fitzpatrick, and everybody thought it was at a weird time, but I just think they're watching Tua in practice and they're like, oh my God, I got to get this kid in the game. I think the Rams and the over actually might be the lock of the week. Tua was protected his entire career at Bama. The Dolphins have had a pretty bad offensive line. Fitzpatrick's been taking a pounding, so I expect Tua to take a pounding as well. He's not going to be wanting to take hits against Aaron Donald. It's going to be a lot of short passes. Ramsey's in the secondary. I think he throws for around 250 yards because they're going to be playing from behind. But the Rams are on a short week. They're going east to play on a short week, and Miami's coming off of a bye. They've had some time, but teams playing on a short week, playing a team coming off a bye, are 25-9-1 against the spread. And if the team on short rest is the road team, they're 11-1-1 against the spread. So this is a great position for the Rams to be in, actually. I like the Rams, and I like the over.
Tua sucks. He's terrible, and he's never going to be anything good.
Never seen him play. Seen him play in the NFL.
Robert Griffin IV.
Anyway,
Griffin was good until the Redskins fucked them up.
Anyway, simple game, dude. Lay the 3.5 points. LA is a much better team than Miami. It's that easy. In the over, no questions. Next game.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy one. This is a good one. Pittsburgh is getting 4.5 playing the Ravens.
Oh, my man!
Which is
I thought for sure you were Baltimore all day on this one, bro.
Listen, Baltimore is still underrated in my opinion. But when you give me the better quarterback and what I think is the better team right now and the points, there's not much more I can say.
We don't really need to discuss much on this game, bro. This is Ben Roethlisberger is going to be better than Lamar. It's a divisional game. This is Pittsburgh's way of standing up and saying, all you motherfuckers that didn't even look at us for the playoffs, here's 7-0 down your throat. Fuck you. We're the team to beat. It's that easy, bro.
Do you like the over or the under here?
Oh, my God, over. Oh, bro, Ben Roethlisberger might score 49 this week. Way over. Way over.
Yeah, no.
Way over.
23-20 in the under.
No
Pittsburgh.
way, dog. No way. Now let's get to the real upset of the week before we take our break to talk about the Eagles.
Don't.
Oh, put it up there, guys. Let's do it.
Do that. Don't do that. You are insane. You are
All right.
insane.
Listen to me. Okay. What have we learned about Tennessee in the last couple of weeks? We've learned that they are very, very good. But one word.
Hold on, real quick. This graphic, is that? Oh, that's a Bengals graphic. Okay, I was just making sure. Okay, go ahead.
I thought it was the Bears when I was going over it this morning.
Yeah.
So, listen, so what have we learned about Tennessee in the last couple of weeks? We've learned that they're very good, but we've learned that there's one word you cannot use to describe them right now, and it's dynamic. They're either very good through the air and have no run game out of Derrick Henry, or they've got Derrick Henry wrecking motherfuckers, and Tannehill's a game manager and gets through by the skin of his teeth. Joe Burrow is due a game that puts him on the map. Now,
Not against them.
Football guys believe that already. We see that. Sports guys who watch week in and week out, we can see that already. But listen to me, bro. Every number one quarterback that turns into a real number one quarterback has a game in their rookie season where you go, holy shit, this guy's going to be the real fucking deal. This is the game. Lock it up. Are you ready? The upset of the week in the over.
God.
Hold up. Just you ready? Where Cincinnati wins outright.
So for our producers, this is the segment, the little 30-second clip that I want you to take of Justin saying that the Bengals are going to beat the Tennessee Titans outright. The Titans barely lost last week to maybe the Super Bowl favorite at this point in the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost because they missed a field goal at the end of the game and they started off slow.
Stop! They lost because they lost. Stop making up these excuses. They lost, bro.
But it matters how you lose. So if you lose by 40, it's different if you lose on a last-second field goal.
I forgot in the NFL we have a college playoff commission.
So they
the quality of losses.
This is me making my point. You've overrated the Bengals all year. Joe Burrow's a good quarterback, but when you don't have the pieces around you, it doesn't matter. Their defense is not nearly as good as Pittsburgh's defense, and the Titans still almost put up 30 on them. These guys are going to shred the Bengals. They're not going to be able to stop Tannehill or Derrick Henry. I think they win by somewhere from a touchdown to 13 points. I take the Titans all day. And I'm going to take the over on this as well because I think the Bengals will put up points, but I think the Titans are going to put up something like 35 on the Bengals. This is an easy game for me to pick, and I don't know what the hell you're thinking.
That's all right. Let's get to the last one before the Eagles now because you're going to think I'm nuts on this one too.
That's the last one I have. What am I missing?
There it is.
There it is. I was missing it earlier too. Oh, man.
All right. So I'm going to go quick. All right. It's very easy. This is a professional football game. And you are giving me 19.5 points with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, who if they're up by 20 in the second half, Pat Mahomes ain't coming back on that field. Andy Reid ain't stupid. This is the New York fucking Jets. Give me 19.5. I don't give a fuck if it goes over or under. Bet both sides, you'll make out. Who cares? This is 19.5.
It is. And it's going to be 30 and it's going to be 30-10 KC.
Yo, if I lose this one by a half, I'll eat it.
You're gonna lose this game by a half a point because it's gonna be 30 to 10.
It's fair. I'll take it. It's fair. That's Jesus letting me know I made a dumb decision.
Look, it's you'll probably never see me give 20 points to any team ever again, but I'm not sure. I don't think the Cleveland Browns, the 0-16 and 1-15 teams that they had are as bad as these Jets are right now with the coaching staff they had, and they're playing possibly the best team in the league. I don't think KC is a team that also plays really down to their competition. So I think this is just going to be an absolute rout. I'd actually be surprised because, the KC is going to go up quick. The Jets are going to have to throw the ball to get in this game. Casey knows the Jets are going to be throwing the football. There's going to be pick sixes. There's going to be fumbles. It's going to be an absolute mess. 35-10, Casey wins that game.
All right.
So let's get into this. Well, actually, let's take a quick break real quick, and then we'll finish off with this Eagles game. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
All right.
All right, so last thing on the table today for us is obviously our Eagles-Dallas game, and I'm sitting in Austin, Texas right now. It's pretty obvious that we were both going to give that 10.5.
Let me talk before you say anything about obviousness.
Go ahead.
All right, listen to me. I texted you the other day when I saw the line of 7.5, and I said to you, thank God that line came under 10.5. Listen, man, I'm not going to change this pick. I saw the graphic this morning when we were getting everything ready, and I'm not going to change the pick. I want to. From the tippity tips of my toes all the way to the top of my head tells me that this is a fucking trap. It is Admiral Akbar, dog. This is a trap. Listen, I know that the injuries coming back from the Eagles are the reason why that line is now as high as 11 or 11.5 today. I understand all the math. I understand all the reasoning. I understand all the logic. But for the love of God, bro, this is the Dallas Eagles matchup in the NFC East Division. What happens every year? The game that Dallas is supposed to win, they fucking lose. The game that the Eagles are supposed to win, they fucking lose.
With their starters.
Listen, I don't think the Eagles lose this game at all. I don't think it's in doubt for a second. I think from the opening kickoff to the time that clock expires, the Eagles are in full control of this game. But I can see it being a 30-20 game, and I fucking lose by a half point. But I'm going to take the 19-5 for the Jets. I have to stand behind my guys. Call it homerism, call it stupidity. I'll agree with all of it. I'll lay the 10.5 points. It's going to go over 42.5. And I hope with all of my heart that the Philadelphia football Eagles cover this fucking line.
See, it's not, you don't have the wrong idea. The issue that I have is so we thought our offensive line was more banged up than the Cowboys, and it was for a couple weeks. It's not anymore. They have the most banged up offensive line in the league, and now they're on their third string quarterback. They don't look like they want to play. Not only is that the case, but they have the worst defense in the NFL. So when you have the worst defense in the NFL, your entire offensive line is out. You're on your third string quarterback, and the Eagles actually have the number 11 ranked defense in the NFL right now. And I think it would be better if our offense was performing well and able to control the clock.
The ball, keep the defense off the field. Yeah.
I just think that if the Cowboys are able to come within 10 points, the Eagles are going to have to take a long, hard look at the film, because there's no way that this game shouldn't be 24-3, 30-6. Like, they just find some way to get a couple field goals, and that's about it. If they get into the end zone more than one time this entire game, I'm actually going to be disappointed regardless of whether we win by 20 or not. If they get into the end zone twice, I might flip over my laptop.
So I have two hypotheses for how this game could go, right? I have the logical end, and I have this is 2020, the NFC East, and the fucking Cowboys end, right? So the logical end is that. The logical end to me, what my eyeballs have told me for the last 7 weeks, is there's no reason why Dallas doesn't end this game with less than 6 points. I don't think that there's any logic in the world anybody could come to me with to convince me otherwise. The game should be 24-6, 31-6 or 9. That's what this game should be. Now I have it's 2020 and Rona's coming back already, so we're fucked in this season, guys. Everybody knows we're fucked. Anyway, my fear is that this is like a 21-10 game at half, right? And what does Doug Peterson do better than anybody? He doesn't adjust. And I'm not saying that Mike McCarthy does. Please, everybody, before you fucking start marching my house with torches and pitchforks, Mike McCarthy is worse than Doug Peterson in every facet of football, but Doug does not adjust. And my fear is not Mike McCarthy adjusting better than Doug. My fear is this Dallas team in Philadelphia going into the half down where they are, comes out and just tries something different on their own. And if that happens, we are 2 chunk plays to CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper or Ezekiel Elliott away from that being a 3-point game. And what we know is Doug Peterson overcompensates after he doesn't adjust. And again, not that they'll come close to losing this game, but 10.5 is a fucking big spread, dude.
Yeah, I just don't see how, you're going to get the ball to your receivers with no time. They're not going to be able to drop back and throw deep balls. The defensive line's going to be chomping at the bit to get to the quarterback. They're not going to have any time to throw. Not to mention they're not going to be able to run the ball either because, again, their offensive line is that bad. Zeke hasn't gone off for weeks. He's been fumbling the football. If they turn it around against the Eagles, that says a lot more about our football team than their football team. This should be a complete blowout. I'm still going to go in the under because I don't think Dallas can score more than 6 to 10 points, but I also don't think, even though the Cowboys defense is atrocious, that the Eagles are going to end up putting, more than 30 up. So I like a 30-6 or 30-10 game in favor of the Eagles. And I
want to do a new thing with you, bro. So we got to put on our Dallas hat and our Eagles hat in the same segment here. All right. Who is, and this is up to you. I've got offense and defense for both teams, but if you want to go just one guy on either team, who is the X factor? If their team is to win, the Eagles, the Cowboys, who is the X factor for each team that would mean that their team secured the win?
Well, the Cowboys would have to be DiNucci.
DiNucci.
You have to get something out of him to have a shot at winning the game. If he comes out, you have no idea what he's doing. He starts throwing the ball all over the field and looks like an all-pro quarterback, then the whole game changes, but I don't think that's going to happen. As far as the Eagles go, it's got to be Jason Peters coming back and being serviceable. The only way that line falls apart this week is, Lane Johnson's playing, Jason Kelsey's there. You'll be able to plug your guards in. Herbig's been playing really well. If they're getting around Jason Peters, Carson doesn't have time, and they're causing turnovers, that's not happening on the right side of the line. It can only happen on the left side of the line. So you can't turn the ball over. That starts with the offensive line and Carson Wentz. I'd say Jason Peters and then Wentz. And then for the Cowboys, I would say DiNucci. And then I think, is Sean Lee playing today? Captain of the
I don't know, dude. You mean Van Der Esch?
No. Wait, hold on. Maybe I mean Van Der Esch, but no, I think they activated Sean Lee.
Okay.
So I think Sean Lee's playing today. So they'll have a captain there, but their defense is just so bad, man.
I don't think that they're going to win. So let's start with the Cowboys because I believe they'll lose. Offensively, it's Ezekiel Elliott. If Ezekiel Elliott can get his legs going underneath of him against the Eagles in Philadelphia, you talk about a fucking turnaround of a season, bro. That's where it's at. Defensively for them, it's DeMarcus Lawrence, bro. It's that one, and honestly, let me take the name away. It's a defensive lineman getting home. That's the X factor for them. Somebody needs to get after Carson around that line, and I don't necessarily disagree with how important JP is this week, but to me, Jason Peters' better backup is already ready to go for this game in Jordan Mailata. So if Jason Peters struggles through the first 3 series, he's just going to fall down and fake a fucking ankle injury, and Mailata's going to come back anyway. So it is what it is there.
Yeah.
For the Eagles, defensively for the Eagles, to me this week, the X factor is Brandon Graham. If Brandon Graham can continue this pace that he's on, which, again, we've mentioned this before in previous episodes, people are not talking about Brandon Graham the way that they should be. Brandon Graham is putting up a Pro Bowl year. I mean, if we were in the league of less flashy defensive players, Brandon Graham's putting up a Defensive Player of the Year nomination. Like, he's tackles for losses, sacks. He is demolishing everything in front of him. The Cowboys line is garbage. So today, I mean, for me, there's no reason why Brandon Graham doesn't have 2 or 3 tackles for loss against Zeke and at least 2 sacks on Ben DiNucci. There's no reason why it doesn't happen.
So I got over under for you.
Okay.
Over under 6.5 sacks for the Eagles today.
Over. It better be. And if it's not, they lost the game.
You think so?
Yeah, if it's not over 6.5, they lost the game. Listen, Ben DiNucci is not good. He was a 7th round draft pick. We get that. But Ben DiNucci does have legs better than Andy Dalton. And if they can buy him a little time and keep them under 6.5 sacks for a 60-minute game, it's trouble for the Philadelphia Eagles defense. No doubt. No doubt.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Big Facts. We'll see how we did with our picks on Wednesday. And then Wednesday, we're actually going to start getting into some NBA draft prospects and talk a little bit more about the Sixers. We'll review our Week 8 picks for the NFL, and then we'll give you our Thursday night picks coming up for this week. Just any closing thoughts?
Final thoughts. First of all, thanks to Jeff, our producer, doing the episode for us. The graphics were fucking awesome. I love the progress that we're making as a podcast. Having the stuff that you guys make for us is awesome. Thank you to those guys. Check out their network, White Horse Media Group. Check out the other podcast. Pookie in Paradise is fucking hilarious. I listen to it all the time. The Ever Evolving Truth, Moms and Mayhem. They have a great podcast network. Final thoughts for today's episode, bro. Never lay 19.5 points. I don't care what my counterpart tells you. It's too much. Eagles fans, Carson is less important this week than the defense is. Carson has shown progression week in and week out. We see the growth. Let's stop putting the magnifying glass on him and start putting it on Jim Schwartz and his defense. Bad offensive line. Ezekiel Elliott having the worst year of a star running back. Their wide receivers underachieving and a third-string quarterback. This is a gigantic week for this defense. Pay attention to the defense. Go back, listen to the locks and the upsets of the week. Aaron, I look forward to being right again by 4 or 5 games. We'll make sure that I keep holding this record up. And
maybe
we'll be back on Wednesday.
Maybe I'll get to host the show next week.
We'll see. Let's see how good you do.
Look forward to everybody watch that Miami game. It's going to be an exciting start for Tua, especially against a really good Rams team. I'm excited to see how he plays and watch this Eagles slaughtering. We should not feel at any point during this Eagles game that we don't have control. And if we do, that's squarely on the coaches. We should have drawn up a game plan this week to dominate every single quarter of this game. There should not be a quarter of this game that the Eagles don't win. And that's my final thoughts. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Justin, you have a good rest of your day. Jeff, thank you. And stream Big Facts on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere that you do stream. And also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Big Facts. We'll see you guys later.
All right, bro.